Am I the asshole for testing my best friend's boyfriend to prove my point? I, 21 female, have been friends with Victoria, 21 female, our whole lives. We're extremely close, maybe even unhealthily so. A few months ago, she started dating Mark, 24 male, but I never liked him because he cheated on his ex with Victoria. When she wasn't around, he'd act creepy with other girls. I told her, even showed her pictures, but he always manipulated her and talked his way out of it. I got tired of seeing her being manipulated, so I warned her that I was going to test him. I flirted with him as a setup, and he fell for it. He didn't kiss me, but came very close before I pulled away. She saw it happen and broke up with him the next day. Since then, she's been cold and distant toward me. She told me she feels inferior to me, and that Mark might have actually preferred me. I don't even know where to begin with this. First, I understand OP was just trying to protect her friend, but I don't know. Maybe there was a point in the flirting where her point was proven that she could have stopped before the fact that he literally tried to lean in and kiss her, and then she decided not to. There was really no other time prior than that you thought, point proven, this guy sucks, let's move on. But then you also have Victoria, who I don't even know she can be surprised about this because Mark cheated on an ex with Victoria before they started dating. So maybe she shouldn't be surprised. Maybe she should be made to feel inferior because she probably made someone else feel that way when Mark cheated on his ex with her. And yeah, obviously Mark for being a serial cheater, that goes without saying, but I also don't want people thinking, well, what about Mark? He's still fucked up. But it's weird to think that I guess out of everybody here, OP fucked up the least, but it's still fucked up what she did. Again, I think there was a point where it might have been fine just to prove that this guy sucks. But again, to the point to where he leaned in to kiss you, that just feels like you were just dragging it out. Unless this guy actually sucks to the point where he got a little inkling that you might be into him and then just went for it. If that's what happened, that's even crazier. But yeah, Victoria shouldn't be upset, I guess, because it's just karma. But also, yeah, I think there could have been better ways. I think everybody in this story really got what they deserved. Welcome back to the channel, where today we're looking at r/OhNoConsequences. I feel like we can all come together to agree that we love when people get what they deserve. Especially later in the video where a husband is upset that he can't go see his son that he won't make the time for. This next post comes from r/Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for ruining my own gender reveal party? I'm pregnant with a baby boy due in November. My fiance and I didn't care much about the sex of our child, so we didn't make too much noise about it once we found out. The only people we'd informed were our parents, their parents, and our siblings. Prior to this, my father's girlfriend of 3 years had been asking me about plans for a gender reveal party. I've always been clear about not wanting one. When I announced my son's gender to them, she expressed disappointment that I hadn't changed my mind about a party. I don't like gender reveal parties. Never have, never will. I prefer baby showers, which I think feel more about the actual child. I never tried to hide that opinion either. Days later, my father's girlfriend invited me over for tea at their apartment. My dad was out of town. When I got there, about a dozen people popped out of hiding to surprise me. There were pink and blue decorations everywhere, which made what was going on pretty clear. As I stood there in shock, my father's girlfriend excitedly told me that they were throwing me a surprise gender reveal party. Since I already told her, she had taken it upon herself to order a cake with colorful frosting, decorate the apartment, and invite a bunch of people over. The guests included her mother, whom I don't get along with, some of her friends, my mother-in-law, not my mom, and 4 of my friends. As I later found out, my mother-in-law and friends had been told I'd changed my mind about gender reveals. I had not. Still in the doorway, I looked over at everyone and said, "It's a boy, you guys can go home now." I left without looking back. Hours later, my friend called me furious that I'd ruined the party. He said his girlfriend had put a lot of effort, money, and love into planning it. and I should have shown respect and gratitude for it. Apparently, she hadn't stopped crying since I left. It's been almost a week, and they're both still upset. Even after I explained I never wanted that party in the first place, they're insisting I could have sucked it up for an hour, or at least cut the cake. Am I the asshole? You know, I don't understand how OP could have been more clear. She said she didn't want a gender reveal party, and then told people the gender without having the party. At that point, I think we can all assume she doesn't want to have a gender reveal party, especially if she's not hiding that opinion either. I think also, regardless, at one point as I was reading this, I thought, at least if it was her mom, that would be one thing. But even if it was a bio mom and not her dad's girlfriend, like, OP doesn't want this. Oh, it's not needed. It's not a guarantee. It's not a must-have. Especially since there's still going to be a baby shower, the girlfriend could have waited to put that money, effort, and love into that rather than this party that she knew her boyfriend's daughter didn't want. Not even like stepdaughter. It's also very clear that this was more for the girlfriend than for OP, considering the fact that she didn't invite OP's mom, but did invite the mother-in-law, and just 4 friends. But also people that she either didn't like or didn't know. None of this was necessary. This whole heartache could have been avoided. Realistically, what did they expect? They just wanted the ego boost, I guess. I don't know. This next post comes from r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for not going home after giving birth because my husband missed it to help our friends? I just had our second baby a few days ago, and instead of going home, I asked to be discharged to my sisters. I don't know if that makes me an asshole or overly emotional or whatever, which is why I'm here. Some background. My husband and I were teen parents. We had our daughter at 18 and 19. She's 14 now. It's been a long road, and we waited a long time to feel ready to go through it all again. This baby was very much planned and wanted, but ever since I hit the 3rd trimester, I felt kind of alone in it. My husband started spending a lot of time with this couple we know. They're in a similar boat. They had their first as teens too, and just had their second recently. I get that it's a lot for them. Their oldest is 17, and they weren't planning on another, so he's been helping them out. But it went from a nice gesture to almost daily visits. Grocery runs, watching their newborn while they nap, fixing stuff around their house, bringing food over, and sometimes with our daughter tagging along, sometimes without even letting me know he was going. Meanwhile, I was trying to keep up with everything at home, going to appointments alone, dealing with the mess that is late pregnancy. I brought it up to him more than once, and every time, he'd either say I was exaggerating or that he was there, just not in the way I wanted him to be. He kept saying I was being territorial or weirdly competitive about them needing help, which made me question myself even more. I also started noticing changes in our daughter. She's an ice dancer and has an intense schedule. And after going with her dad to help at their house, she'd come back totally spaced out, quiet, eating less. I figured she was just tired, but it started to feel off. She almost fell during practice one morning because she was so drained, and her coach made her sit out the rest of the week. That was a big wake-up call for me. I told my husband that enough was enough, and we needed to pull back, not just for me, but for her too. He apologized, said he'd keep the visit shorter and only go when it was really needed. The visits were hardly shorter, but my daughter seemed less tired, and I could actually go to sleep with my husband some nights, so I counted it as a win. When I went into labor, I called him from the car while my sister drove me to the hospital. No answer. Texted. Nothing. He showed up about 4 hours after the baby was born with a slushie for me, and he was sorry, but the other couple had a rough night and he didn't want to leave them stranded. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want a big scene right there in the hospital, but when I could be discharged, I just had my sister take me home since my husband wasn't there. Now he's saying I'm being dramatic, that I'm punishing him for helping people who don't have the support we do. He told me I'm being cold and that I'm setting a bad example for our daughter by shutting him out. He's also implied more than once that I'm trying to act like a victim when he was doing what any decent person would do. His mom called yesterday and said I should be ashamed for taking the baby away. I never said anything about keeping our son from him. I've told him he can come see the baby whenever he wants. I've been texting our daughter, keeping up with her, and I plan to be back home the moment I've recovered enough. I'm not trying to split our family. I just needed a break, a quiet space to breathe and actually rest. I'm exhausted mentally and physically. But now I'm second guessing myself. Was it wrong to go somewhere else to recover? Should I have just gone home and tried to work it out there? I don't want this to turn into some drawn-out fight or drama, especially not with the newborn in the picture. I don't even know if I'm thinking clearly at this point. Edit, our baby is a boy. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what's going on at this other couple's house, but it feels odd. I mean, I don't think I would have this thought if OP didn't say that her daughter was tired, but this almost feels drugs related some way, somewhere, somehow. Like, I'm just speculating here. But if it wasn't for the fact that OP said that their daughter was coming home spaced out, quiet, and eating less, then that means either somebody was saying something to make her feel possibly self-conscious to the point to where she wasn't taking good care of her body, or something drug-related was going on. I might be overthinking this, and it could be something else altogether. But I don't understand why or even how this couple can need so much help that your husband has to be there so frequently. Daily visits? They go on grocery runs every day? They don't buy enough groceries to last more than just that day for 24 hours? That's weird. There is something going on here. Because again, you know what? I think if it's not the daughter, then it's the fact that he showed up 4 hours after the baby was born with a slushie. A slushie. He cannot be in his right mind to do something like that and then doesn't understand why his wife could possibly be upset with him. He's not there for her. I don't get it. He's not cooking for her. He's not helping. He's not driving her to appointments. How are you not driving her to her appointments and going with her? You're not going to cook for her. You're not going to try to do anything. But this other couple calls and it's, oh, we got to go right now. Honey, to the daughter. Honey, come along. I really hope that there's nothing going on between the daughter of OP and the son of that other family. I know technically both are minors, but I don't know. 17 to 14 feels like a weird age difference to me. 14 to me personally still feels like a child, while 17 is practically an adult. I feel like it's just my own mentality that hopes that nothing is happening between the two of them as well. But no, honestly, OP, do not remotely give into this guy at all whatsoever. You're not punishing him. Oh, and he's able to see the baby whenever. So he's punishing himself. He's so willing to go to this other couple to watch their baby whenever they either ask or possibly don't even ask, but will take the help when needed, but not make the time to go see his newborn. And all of a sudden it's, well, I can't make it to somebody else's house to go see a baby, even though it's his baby. Yeah, this guy has all of his priorities out of whack. And quite literally, it's either drugs or some type of vice addiction. I don't want to say cheating. I feel like it has to be drugs or some type of addiction. Or he really is just this stupid. Like, what type of macho man ego mentality do you gotta have to where you're putting your like time and effort into this other family, but not your own? It's weird. That's weird. Your husband's weird. And that was r/OhNoConsequences. Now, when I'm thinking about making these videos where the subreddit is just people pulling from other subreddits, I try not to do too much that is just r/am I the asshole, because then it just feels like I'm doing another r/am I the asshole video. But I think it's just funny that when I was trying to look, all of them were just deleted by the original user or not yet approved by the moderators. So there's a chance by the time this video goes live or whenever you decide to listen to this, that there's just more not from Am I the Asshole that I could have read. Either way, regardless, I think we got some good stories today, regardless of where they're from. But man, that dad in the last story really pissed me off. It's just crazy to think. But I think for the most part, said my piece. I think it's funny. I also realize that as I read the story, there are key details I tend to forget. So I'm really happy that I took a moment on that first story to look back and realize that Victoria was a mistress herself and then was mad when her cheating boyfriend was caught almost cheating with her friend. But what do you think about these people? Do you think everybody that, got punished in this deserved their consequences? Or do you think that maybe, the world was just being a little hard on them? Me personally, I think that justice came where it needed to be at. I think that husband in the last story deserves a little bit more, however, because it still feels like he's getting off a little bit scot-free. But regardless, I hope you're driving safe. Goodbye.